If someone was to time travel to 1880s New York, what could they carry innocuously on their person that would make them rich once they got there? A map of some natural deposit of an expensive material. Oil, gold, silver, etc. that hadn't been discovered before the period they're traveling to.
I love how you said, if a friend, then proceed to type 1 everywhere. Tears of joy.
Back to the Future nailed it. A book of sports gambling results would be invaluable. Not sure what the scene was in those days. But maybe horse racing was a thing. Has to be a record of those wins, losses. If you were smart, you wouldn't draw too much attention. The Biff method.
Knowledge of events alone could make anyone wealthy. But it would need to be planned and well calculated. If you won or obtained too much money or took money away from someone else, prevented families to make money, etc., it could affect future in unseen ways.
A block of aluminium.
I'm glad you specified that it was hypothetical. Tears of joy.
Railroad stock certificates that are worthless today still do exist as collector's items and curios. Some could be worth quite a lot in 1880. Newspaper business sections of stock prices on future dates would also obviously be helpful.
An armload of books on modern medicine. Farmer's Almanac. Mechanical design with structural drawings, etc. Hypothetical. Sure. John Titor. A medical journal and funds for patents. You'll go down as the smartest, richest medical mind in history. And you'll save a lot of lives. Edit. Thinking about penicillin, polio vaccine, etc. Memorize the top 100 sickest baselines of the past 50 years. Go back and become Lord of Bass. Lord of Bass. My husband says a map to a, now known of, gold and diamond mines, and I say a notebook of math equations that correspond to letters guiding stock market trends and where to obtain cheap or free land that has oil reserves. However, as a woman, my journey instantly becomes infinitely more complicated and difficult in that era.
Use modern technology to print out a bunch of 1880 currency.
Just pull a Back to the Future and get a sports almanac or something.
I would bring a simple ergonomic household item and find a way to mass produce it or use the future item as a prototype to apply for a patent and then sell that and live off the royalties.
There was a pretty severe depression in the US from about 1873 to 1879. So buying almost any stock in 1879 would be a good bet. You could take with you a listing of stock prices from the 1920s and see which companies were trading in the 1880s. Went from a friend to I and my really fast.
Watch out for Time Cop, JCVD. Don't mess around.
Are you going back and staying and becoming rich then, or are you going back, planting some sort of wealth seeds and traveling back so that you're super rich?
Og Kush seeds.
A zipper. Simple to mass produce and still used today. Invented in 1890s, so the tech to do it is already there. Massive generational wealth to be gained for next 100 plus years. A history of boxing. Move to New York and place bets on the big prize fights of that era.
Nice try, Biff. Return the DeLorean before the manure gets you. You sound kind of like a time traveler who doesn't want their identity revealed. I started watching Deadwood recently, which took place around that time. There was only one doctor in the camp and he was in demand. I imagine if you brought modern medication, from painkillers to antibiotics, you'd be in huge demand. You might have to grind them into powder form though. Not sure about when the American public first started using pills. People might ask you where you got this miracle stuff, but a vague story would probably suffice. To create Velcro.
A ballpoint pen. I'm not saying drugs, but drugs.
Shares in Manhattan Co. It's now JP Morgan Chase. Something like a municipal bond could be forged using our technology, and might completely fool people back then. Of course it would appear to be new. You'd need an old one to copy. A few of those could get you nicely set up. Of course when you went to redeem it, you'd have to give the impression of being the sort of person who'd legitimately have one. Maybe pretending to be foreign would help. If you'd need an introduction, then I guess the scheme wouldn't work. The locations of major mineral deposits like the West Texas oil fields. The Texas oil boom started in 1901, so 20 years to squire the land.
The Sports Almanac from Back to the Future.
Aluminum foil. Blocks of aluminum for startup money. You can make a foundry in your backyard. Probably cost $50 in today's money. Collect cans. Melt 'em down. Make muffin tin since ingots. Aluminum should sell for about $1 an oz back then. You'll also need a Radio Shack 301 Project Lab. Electronics textbook or two from the 40s or 50s. Then grab 2 iPads and load them with PDF copies of textbooks regarding electronics. Also instructions on how to make soap and modern medicines. You'll also need 2 foldable solar panels with 2 lithium-ion batteries. Toss this in backpack with zippers and Velcro. Finally, most important part. Find where Tesla is going to be in 1884. Then go there. Make a business partnership with him. Then show him books and electronics stuff. Then let Tesla do his thing. Figure out a way to manage the profits and make sure he doesn't tank the company. But that he's happy. Avoid Edison. He's an asshole.
A list of medications and how to make them like antibiotics. Or even how to generate power and schematics for a refrigeration system.
Not sure why your friend wants to be 1880s rich and not say 1960s rich. Plus take into account that even if they did make it big in the 1880s, got to take into account the level of luxury, food preparation and medicine. You may end up rich. But with the level of medicines and diseases in that time frame, your life expectancy is likely cut down significantly. Of you. Sorry, your friends. Stay. You might want to take some rare spices with you. Saffron or grains of paradise, for example. Any exotic spice that would come from a remote area of the world at that time would be extremely valuable. Buy lots of stock in the Otis Elevator Company.
All engineering, manufacturing, and chemistry textbooks on a Kindle with a solar power charger.
A map of the mineral rights claims to a bunch of played-out silver and gold mines along the west coast that have not been purchased yet. The only correct answer is a sports almanac.
The obvious answer here is a sports almanac. The problem with these things is that being really rich in like the 1880s really wouldn't be worth it. 99% of Americans have a quality of life higher than Rockefeller or Carnegie did.
I like how you clarified that it was hypothetical and not an actual situation your friend was in.
Do you want Biff Tannen's casino? Because this is how you get it.
I would invest in war.